I just sang alone, caught between the right and wrong. He brought with him a dream. He raised his head and softly said, drive on. Not all would see the light, but it would be alright. There's more than your heart could hold. Hey, 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 hey. I walked along without a care. I felt her breath and touched her hair. So it was from the start. She set herself into my heart. I moved ahead and she was with me. Lost in when I stand on sacred ground, I can hear voices. Soft and low, they seem to say, look out. Beautiful are her feet on the mountain peak, where she is called Utah. Hey, 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 hey,
Thank you, Mike. I want to introduce a couple people really quick. They're going to be on the trek with us. We have Elder Smith, and Sister Smith will be with us tomorrow, and Elder Allred and Sister Allred. So they are going to be our missionary trek missionaries. So we want to appreciate it and thank you very much.
Okay, so the rest, we have just a couple people in our ward that are going to share a pioneer story, and in between we're going to sing a song. So I don't know if any of you have your little books with you that have the songs in there. If not, most of them are songs that we know, and we can pick some that we all know.
I think a lot of people might have the hymn book on their phone.
Yeah, hymn book on your phone also if it downloads. So it has been so fun to hear how many people in our ward do have pioneers that were pioneer ancestors that were part of the Willie and Martin or the Rescuers or just pioneers in general. And so we are going to start out with Brother Allred, and then we are going to sing a song, and then we will have Ken Lowe over here. He will be next, and then we'll sing another song, and then Connie Jones next. And we are then, we'll see time-wise, but I think we have Todd Jones too, so we'll play it by ear, but then we also have Brother Knowles here who is going to play the bagpipes for us when we get done. So we're super excited, and we'll start with Brother Allred and then turn the time over to Sister Stelter.
Reddick Newton Allred is my great-great-grandfather. My grandfather, Vern Allred, I was told kind of had some of his same attributes. He was a stubborn guy, but a good guy, salt of the earth, good man. But Brigham Young wanted to send rescuers out in a hurry and set up stations where the handcart companies would come along and find more supplies, and Captain Grant put Reddick Newton Allred in charge of one of those camps. He said, "Captain Grant left me in charge of the supplies of flour, beef cattle, 4 wagons, the weak animals, and 11 men for guard. I killed the beef cattle and let the meat lay in the quarters where it froze and kept well. As it was very cold and storming almost every day. We were reinforced by 3 wagons and 6 men loaded with flour." So they were there at South Pass, around South Pass, waiting for the Willie Handcart Company to come. And when the Willie Handcart Company came up over Rocky Ridge, they asked Reddick and his group to come down to meet that group at Rock Creek. And he did. This is what he said about it. "I took 6 teams and met them 15 miles below in a hard west wind. They could hardly travel facing the drifting snow, even if they had been ready for duty. I found some dead and dying laying over the camp in the drifting snow that was being piled in heaps by the gale and burying their dead. We set in with the rest to make them as comfortable as possible and remained in camp until the next day." After they helped the Willie Handcart Company, they asked him to go back to his station and wait for the Martin Handcart Company. And they'd been there for 3 weeks and hadn't heard anything. And so they were starting to get to the point where some of the people were saying, "Well, they're not coming. We ought to just go back to Salt Lake." And this is what Reddick Newton said. "Brother Spencer tried to induce me to break up camp and return to the city. I declined his proposition, and he said that he would return. I advised him to stay, for the lives of the company depended upon us. He then said that he was moved that I was president of the station, and they centered their faith on me, that I should get the word of the Lord to know what we must do. To this I objected, as the Lord had already said what he would have us do. They returned the next day. Because of Reddick's determination to remain at his post, he was known as the Bulldog." President Eyring spoke of his steadfastness in a general conference. He said, "There are few comforts so sweet to know that we have been an instrument in the hands of the Lord in leading someone to safety. That blessing generally requires faith to follow counsel when it is hard to do. An example from church history is that of Reddick Newton Allred. He was one of the rescue parties sent out by Brigham Young to bring in the Willie and Martin Handcart Companies. When a terrible storm hit, Captain Grant, captain of the rescue party, decided to leave some of the wagons by the Sweetwater River as he pressed ahead to find the handcart companies. With the blizzards howling and the weather becoming life-threatening, 2 of the men left behind at the Sweetwater decided it was foolish to stay. They decided to return to Salt Lake Valley and tried to persuade everyone else to do the same. Reddick Allred refused to budge. Brigham Young had sent them out. His priesthood leader had told him to wait there. The others took the several wagons all filled with needed supplies and started back. Even more tragic, each wagon they met coming from Salt Lake, they turned back as well. They turned back 77 wagons, some of which returned all the way to Little Mountain before they were turned around. Those with the faith of Reddick Newton Allred will keep offering friendship even when it seems to not be needed or have no effect. They will persist. When someone reaches the point of spiritual exhaustion, they will be there offering kind words and fellowship. They will then feel the same divine approval Brother Allred felt when he saw the handcart pioneers struggling toward him, knowing he could offer them safety because he had followed counsel when it was hard to do. While the record does not prove it, I am confident that Brother Allred prayed while he waited. I'm confident that his prayers were answered, and that he knew that the counsel to stand fast was from God. We must pray to know that. I promise you answers to such prayers of faith." That was the end of his talk, or the part of his talk. So they waited 3 weeks. Then Captain Grant arrived at that station with the Martin Handcart Company. And Captain Grant was so happy to see him, he said, "Hurrah for the Bulldog, good for hanging in." What I found, actually, as I read in his journal, and it mentions it here, is that Reddick actually had contracted pleurisy, which is an inflammation of the lungs, prior to going up there, but it was painful, but he just said, "I took cold and it gave me severe pain in my breast that lasted 1 month. It was almost like taking my life." After reaching Fort Bridger 5 days later, he wrote, "I suffered much from pleurisy, or pain in my breast and side," but he still stuck with it. He stayed there. I love this story. I was told this story when I was a little kid. This used to be one that I used to take to primary and give in talks. I love his determination. Reddick had people trying to persuade him. They were good men, but just didn't have the